Yes, ladies and gentlemen, episode 80 of Pokemon Horizons titled Totally Awesome Pokémon in Area Zero just dropped. In this episode, our heroes head down to Area Zero while Coral and Sidian follow them. What's gonna happen here? Let's talk about it. This episode's a really fun episode. The episode establishes a few things that refer to the universe, and I'll get to that, while giving one of the villains a brand new Pokemon, a rare sight in this series. In fact, this episode feels closer to the Team Rocket episodes of old, and Coral and Sidian feel closer to Team Rocket in the way that they're being used here currently than at any point prior in the series. Our heroes head down to the crater of Paldea and see this beautiful land, clouds high in the sky with Pokemon flying around, lush green grass all over with giant Pokemon. As the kids are walking around there, they talk about hoping to come across some Paradox Pokémon. Meanwhile, Coral and Sidian are watching them from a distance, but Coral is being carefree in her approach of doing so. Our heroes get to the top research lab and meet up with Briar. There, she once again shows our heroes the drawn paradoxes from the books, as well as the video that shows the potential Entei that's going to be here. However, that area is way lower down, so she says she'll lead them there. As our heroes head down the cliff, they talk about the Terra Crystals and how they're all over the lower area of Area Zero. As the adults walk ahead, we hear a conversation starting about how the Paradox Pokémon came to be, but we don't get to hear it fully. To me, the most interesting part of this is that Briar says that there are both ancient and future Paradox Pokémon, and this changes things for me. So far, this series has been all Scarlet. The school is Narana Academy, the mons that we see in Area Zero from this episode and future episodes seemingly are all past Paradoxes. But here, she's saying that both future and past Paradox Pokémon exist. This to me brings up so many questions that I don't think they meant to create with this one line. I think they probably just wanted to explain the Paradox Pokémon as a mechanic to the audience and said the line without really thinking through the implications. Because if both past and future Paradox Pokémon exist, then who was the professor for Area Zero? I always assumed it was Sada, but was Turo also involved? Does that mean that there was both an AI Sada and an AI Turo? So many questions come up from that line. Regardless, as the kids are walking along talking, Crocolore hears something, and this eventually leads to Roy separating from Liko and Dot and coming across Sandy Shocks. He doesn't realize it's a Sandy Shocks, of course, but he's chased the other way by it, and as he is, he runs right by Coral and Sidian, who hide when he comes nearby. Coral, seeing this as way more fun than just following our heroes, flies over to the area that Roy went. She loses him, but she comes across a Screamtail here when she accidentally steps on his tail. Of course, she thinks it's just a Jigglypuff, and the two have a back and forth, arguing with each other and clowning each other. That is until a Great Tusk appears. The Great Tusk is annoyed at them and starts batting them away, and this eventually leads to Coral battling the Great Tusk with her Glalie alongside Screamtail. The battle itself isn't the focus, it's the characterization of Coral and the Screamtail. Coral is carefree in almost all aspects. She takes the Great Tusk head on with Glalie and puts up a pretty good fight against it, showing that she's also pretty strong. Meanwhile, Screamtail loses its voice seemingly when it is scared. There's some really fun interaction here that I honestly think you just need to watch the episode to appreciate. But it eventually culminates in Screamtail screaming as Glalie uses self-destruct, causing everyone to go down. Meanwhile, Roy eventually stops being chased by the Sandy Shocks and turns around to battle it. I don't think he ever does realize that it's a ground-type Pokemon, but it doesn't matter, as speeding up with Flame Charge and using a powerful flamethrower is enough to KO Sandy Shocks. He then thanks Sandy Shocks for the battle and walks back to his group with his Crocolore while singing. As he leaves, the Sandy Shocks also starts singing a song as well. So could Sandy Shocks eventually end up in the hands of Roy? I wonder. What we don't have to wonder about, however, is that eventually everything is settled down where Coral battled, and it looks like the Great Tusk ran away after the battle with Coral. Coral says that Screamtail is alright, but when it starts screaming at her for not understanding it when she tries to talk to it, Coral throws the nearest thing at it, which happens to be a Pokeball, and captures it. Yeah, Coral captures a Paradox Pokemon. Later, she holds down Screamtail's mouth and asks Sidian, where in the world did he go? That's pretty funny. Eventually, Roy meets back up with Liko and Dot, who were worried about where he went and were about to go looking for him. He tells them that he faced off against a Magneton with hair, which they imagine, which is also pretty funny. They then decide to sleep in the nearby cave for the night. After they eat, Briar tells them that she's gonna go to sleep early, telling them that they should also be prepared tomorrow as they never know what can happen in the place where Entei was spotted. As she goes to sleep, our heroes hear a Screamtail screaming and wailing, which sends shivers down their spine, and that is the end of the episode. This is just a fun overall episode. Like I said earlier, it does make me question the chronology of events that took place in Area Zero in the anime, as it seems Briar actually doesn't know what caused the Pokemon to arrive either. Either way, I'm glad we get to see some Paradoxmons and their personality. We get to see our heroes and the villains separately face off against their own issues, and the villains got a new team member, which seems like it's gonna be a comedic relief type Pokemon. The episode gave more to Coral's character as this carefree, powerful trainer, and the dynamic between the straight-laced Cidian and the opposite of that in Coral really shined. Overall, a really fun episode that I'd say is one to check out for sure. But what about you guys? What did you guys think about this episode? Let me know in the comments down below. Other than that, be sure to like, share, subscribe, and that's it. I will talk to you guys later. Peace.